Welcome back to another episode of Queens Off the Clock. I'm Sam McBride. I'm here with my favorite blonde, Kristen Holstrom.
Whoop, whoop.
And today we have a very interesting episode. We're going to be going through and kind of talking about 911 calls and red flags associated with them and just our thoughts and opinions because they're often such a big part of criminal cases. Just as a reminder for everyone, Kristen and I are doing this for entertainment purposes. We're not pointing the finger at anyone. We are really just trying to investigate reports, allegations, and things that are out there that aren't necessarily always looked at. We think that it's really important to look at the facts, look at the evidence to kind of allow that to lead you in the direction of who did it, as opposed to finding a suspect and building a case around it. So it's something that Kristen and I are always very interested in. Off the clock. As another reminder, we are certified family law specialists by day in California. So if you ever have a family law issue or question, go over to our CQ page. And you can find all things family law. We can give you actual legal advice for family law as opposed to this totally for entertainment and our opinions show.
And yes, for the people that DM us and ask if we are real attorneys, yes, we are not just attorneys, we are certified family law specialists. That's it.
Yeah, we are. And we've been doing this for longer than we'd like to admit.
Yes. Just Botox hides all the wrinkles, so let's just be transparent.
Botox is and was a game changer for me.
But it does minimize my WTF face, but
Yeah,
I'm
you can't take it too
in
far.
between rounds right now, so I can still do like a little bit. But yeah, before Botox, I think you could read my face a little bit.
Right. Okay, so today we're going to talk about 911 calls in general, but we want to kind of compare and contrast a couple of cases that Kristen and I have been covering. So Kristen and I have quite a few episodes regarding the Idaho 4 unalivings. So go back and watch those if you want to kind of get into the theories, the allegations, what's going on, our opinion, where we think people got it wrong. There's tons of good content and more to come. We're very excited about. So we're going to go into the 911 call associated with that case. And then we're also going to compare that to a recent episode that we had getting into the death at apartment 603, which is a Hulu documentary that really talks about quite an eerie scene where a woman was ultimately found by a medical examiner to have committed suicide despite 20 stab wounds. So Kristen and I raised the red flag, as did the victim's family, and we're going to get into that.
And if you haven't watched our episode on the death in the apartment, that is a great series that we have started. We have a couple more to finish as we go through the docuseries, but that is a really good one because the biggest thing that Sam and I kind of preach here is ask questions. And one of the biggest red flags to me in that case was the 911 call. And these cases are wildly different, but also eerily similar at the same time. For those of you who haven't watched that documentary, go watch it. I think they did a really good job with this one. Obviously, there's things I wish they would have done different, or maybe a part 4 is coming, after they see this. But I mean, this was a woman that they said unalived herself and inflicted self-harm, even though there was a very large weapon knife going through her chest. And when her fiance called 911, he just conveniently didn't bring that up. All right, so Sam, let's get into it.
That's right. So before we compare the two, I kind of wanted to just briefly go over each of them in isolation. So when we're talking about death in apartment 603, we are specifically talking about the Ellen Greenberg call. And that is, as Kristen was mentioning, a very good documentary that involves a 27-year-old Ellen Greenberg who was found unalived in her apartment with 20 stab wounds to her chest, her neck, her back, and there was a knife still lodged in her chest. Her fiance, Sam Goldberg, was the individual who made the 911 call after allegedly breaking into the apartment, breaking through that door latch. And so the video, we can probably play it here, but the video is pretty accessible online anywhere you go. And it's pretty heart-wrenching just in kind of sounding. It's a little eerie to me. And I don't know what your initial thoughts were, Kristen, but my initial thoughts were this isn't normally how a person, I think, would respond. And I guess I say that with an asterisk because it's not ever normal to find somebody who has passed away or a horrific scene. And everyone can, I guess, respond differently. But a lot of red flags there, Kristen.
Yeah.
Just walked to my apartment. My fiance's on the floor with blood everywhere.
What is the address?
4601 Flat Rock Road. Please come help now.
4001
Flat Rock Road.
Is this a house or apartment?
Oh no! Oh no!
Apartment.
It's an apartment.
What apartment number?
Please hurry, please.
Where is she bleeding from?
I don't know. I can't tell.
No, sir, you have to calm yourself down in order to get you some help.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm looking at her right now. I can't see anything. There's nothing broken. She's bleeding. Ellie!
You don't know where she's bleeding from? Can't see
Ellie!
where the blood's coming from?
I think her head. I think she hit her head, I think. But it's everywhere.
Okay, sir.
It's everywhere.
She might have fallen. Do you know what happened?
She may have slipped. There's blood on the table. Her face is a little purple.
Okay, hold on for rescue for her. Stay on the phone.
Philadelphia Fire Department 842. What's the address? No,
4601 Flat Rock Road. Please hurry.
4601 Flat Rock?
Yes.
What's wrong?
I went downstairs to go work out. I came back up. The door was latched. My fiance's inside. She wasn't answering. So after about a half hour, I decided to break it down. I see her now, just on the floor with blood. She's not responding.
Okay, is she breathing? Look at her chest. I need you to calm down, and I need you to look at her chest. It's really.
I don't think she. I really don't think she is.
Listen to me. Someone's on the way. Look at her chest. Is she flat on her back?
She's on her back. So I bring her.
Look at her chest and tell me if it's going up and down, up and down.
I don't see her moving.
Okay. Do you know how to do CPR?
I don't.
Okay, I can tell you what to do. Okay, until they get there. I want you to keep her flat on her.
God.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, okay.
Are you willing to do CPR with me over the phone until they get there?
I have to, right?
Okay, so get her flat on her back, bare her chest, okay? You want to rip her shirt off. Okay? You need to kneel down by her side.
Oh, my God. Ellie, please.
Listen, you can't freak out, sir, because you
Okay, I'm trying not to. Her shirt won't come off. It's a zipper. Oh, my God. She stabbed herself.
Where?
She fell with a knife. Oh, no, her knife's sticking out.
Her what?
There's a knife sticking out of her heart.
Oh, she stabbed herself?
I guess so. I don't know where she fell on it. I don't know.
Okay, well, don't touch it.
Okay, so I'm just let her out here now. I mean, what do I do?
No, I mean, you can't. If the knife is in her chest, it's going to be kind of hard for you to do CPR at this time.
Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Police, which operator?
277.
Is someone coming here?
Yes, they are. You said 4601 Flat Rock, right?
Yes.
Okay, someone's on the way. And the knife is still inside?
Wait, so what?
The knife is still inside of her?
Yes, I didn't take it out.
Was it her chest or what area did it?
It's in her chest. It looks like it's right in her heart.
Okay, someone's on the way out there. Okay, just get.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Okay,
how old is she?
She's 27.
27, and there's no sign of life at all.
No, please don't be. What?
Pinch her under her arm and tell me if she responds to pain.
Ellie. She's not. Her hands are still warm. I don't know what that means, but there's blood everywhere. I mean.
I know, but you can't. And the knife is still inside of her. How far? Can you see how far it went in?
It looks pretty deep.
Okay.
It looks it's a long knife.
Don't touch anything.
Yeah, don't touch anything. Okay.
I'm not touching anything. I can't believe this though.
So wait, it was just you there with her?
We're the only ones here.
And she ran in the door. You said latched it shut.
No. I went downstairs to work out, and when I came back up, the door was latched.
Oh.
Like it was, it wasn't like it was, it was like locked from the inside, and I'm yelling. So I'm
was your house
yelling
broken into?
No.
I try not to judge 911 calls. I've listened to enough. They are public. Whether or not they're easy to get, that depends on the jurisdiction and how easily and quickly that they are given out to the public. But I know some people can listen to them on their scanners. I've listened to many in my time, and they are all different. And I try not to judge someone because everyone does grieve differently. Both of these, in my opinion, were two of the biggest red flags in both cases, and for different reasons. So let's start with the apartment in 603. Let's talk about Ellen's fiance, who is the one calling 911 on this.
So just right off the bat, things that kind of made my hair stand up were the fact that although you do hear someone that kind of maybe initially hears he's breathing hard, maybe sounds a little panicked, he starts quickly saying some things that don't make sense to me. One example of that is in the 911 tape, just thinking about, and you guys can go back and listen to it again, but just thinking about the fact that Sam responds to a request to start CPR and saying, oh, well, I have to, right? I don't know what to make of that, but I can tell you, yeah, I am CPR certified, but I can tell you I would be checking vitals and doing all of those things before or right as I was calling 911. You wouldn't have to ask me whether or not she was breathing or not. And that was kind of another eerie point, was the operator asking if she's breathing. I don't see her breathing. If you replay that a couple of times, he doesn't pause. He knows she's not breathing. He doesn't say, let me check. He doesn't wait a full hypothetical breath to say, I don't see her breathing. And that was weird. I don't know, Kristen, what are your thoughts there?
I thought that was 100% weird. I thought it was super weird when the dispatcher told him to begin CPR and he says, I have to, right? I thought that was super weird. But yeah, Sam, him not even taking a moment to check, he knew. He knew. And I also can't even talk about in the 911. He says, like, the dispatcher is telling him to do something, and maybe it's to check or to start CPR. And he's saying that she has a zipper and so he can't do things, right? And then you see the pictures or the depiction of the scene, and it was very clear from what he's describing, there is a knife through her heart. There is a knife through her chest. Okay. I don't care what jacket you have on, if it's a flannel, if it's a zip up, I don't care what you have on. There is nothing that is going to be distracting you other than the weapon going through the chest.
Which, by the way, he went immediately from, there's a knife, she stabbed herself or fell, which again to me was another big,
yes, that was fell on it.
It was another big flag. Like, oh, maybe she hit her head, stabbed herself. Like, all of those things were all things that mean it wasn't me, it was her, as opposed to, I think, what would be or should be for any reasonable person that walks into that scene is to think that someone else did this, or at least think that that's possible. So the fact that he cut that off immediately was really, I think, not only bizarre, but unnerving. And it made him, in my mind, very someone to keep an eye out for. To make it worse, I want to ask you about this one, Kristen. You now have a 911 operator saying, is there signs of a break-in? Okay, well, supposedly you just busted down the door to find her. You didn't know that she wasn't breathing until you were prompted to look. You didn't know about a knife until you were prompted to look. You're not mentioning anything about blood, right? And when the 911 operator says, is there a sign of a break-in? He responds and says, no sign of a break-in, but there will be when you get here because I busted down the door. What do you think about that?
Exactly what that reminds me of in the Idaho case, but I won't go there yet. But I can tell you it's exactly the same. It's the same theory, the same attempt, the same thought process. Is they are trying, or in this case, fiance is trying to deflect anything to do with him, right? No, there will be because I broke in. So what is he doing? He's creating now a new artificial situation that there is a break-in, but it was him because he was trying to get in because he knew something had happened because nobody was answering her phone and he couldn't get in the door, right? He is deflecting from whether or not there was evidence that there was somebody else in that room or that somebody else did this. He is trying to deflect that there is no possible alternative that a third party did this without even looking around. It's without breath. There's a knife. She did this. Wait, she stabbed herself. Oh, wait, she must have fell on it. It's like, okay, now we've gone to 3 theories without saying, holy cow, who was in here? Was somebody in here? She's got a weapon. She's got a knife through her chest. Is it possible that something else happened? Yes.
Well, it goes back. That's a great point, Kristen, because it goes back to exactly what my concern was with the she's not breathing comment is if you're in this state of distress where you essentially just figured out that the person that you love, that you're set to spend the rest of your life with, is no longer with us. Why would you respond to there's no evidence of a break-in without presumably having even the opportunity to search
To
the
look
apartment, because
around,
I'm assuming you stopped at the kitchen, right? And made that
which was
phone call.
right in the door.
So why wouldn't your response be, I don't know, not that I can tell? And then the second eerie thing is, there will be when you get here. That's a future thing. So, like, just as a heads up, like you were saying, let's make sure that this isn't me. And I don't think somebody who has just dealt with even the shock of realizing that their fiance is no longer with us would have the wherewithal to be like, well, yeah,
Agreed.
there will be the sign of a break-in, because you wouldn't categorize that as a break-in. I wouldn't. If I busted down
I
the
wouldn't
door,
either. I would say I broke down the door because I couldn't get a hold of her. I heard these noises. I don't know if somebody was in there. You know, it's very unlike her to not answer 5 of my calls. I was only gone at the gym for 30 minutes. You know, the whole thing is eerie. And there are a lot of things in that call. And go back and listen to that call multiple times because I think you'll pick up something every single time. But Sam's 100% right. He is very quickly trying to create an alternate scenario of here that he is the one coming in and saving the day. But by the way, he's already predetermining what had happened to Ellen, and he's force feeding that information to the dispatcher, who isn't even asking for his assessment at this point. He's not saying, is there anyone else here? Did, you know someone that could have done this? Obviously, they probably don't go through a lot of that on the 911. They're really just trying to save any immediate life. But why are we also not acknowledging that it was very, by the display of the way the kitchen was in and the food that was out, and there was other knives, that wasn't just the only knife. She was very likely either preparing a meal or cooking a meal, right? And yes, somebody can all of a sudden in a split second decide to unalive themselves. We talk a lot about that on another show. But what we're really getting into right here, wouldn't you, without thinking, try to portray exactly what you're seeing in front of you? Wouldn't that indicate red stuff? Wouldn't that indicate just the absolute chaos that you're looking at?
yeah, no doubt. I think there's more red flags than a normative response.
And
None of
even
it
just the
adds
tone
up.
of voice, I don't know, creeps me out.
So taking a step away from that 603 case, let's go ahead and listen to the 911 tape for the Idaho 4 call, which, for anyone that doesn't know, again, there's a lot of other episodes to go back and watch about this, but we're talking about the Moscow, Idaho unalivings that took place around November 13th of 2022, where 4 college students were found reportedly stabbed to death in their off-campus home. And so let's go ahead and take a second to listen to that.
911 location of your emergency.
Hi, something is happening. Something's happening in our house. We don't know what.
What is the address of the emergency?
1122.
What is the rest of the address?
Oh, Kings Road.
Okay. And is that a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
Can you repeat the address to make sure that I have it right?
I'll talk to you guys. We live at the light, so we're next to them.
I need someone to repeat the address for verification.
The address, 1122 King Road.
And what's the phone number that you're calling from?
What? 3731.
And tell me exactly what's going on.
One of the roommates is passed out, and she was drunk last night, and she's not waking up.
Okay.
Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah. Hi, this is
And are you with the patient? Okay, I need someone to keep the phone, stop passing it around.
Can I just tell you what happened pretty much?
What is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now?
I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m.
Okay, I need to know what's going on right now if someone is passed out. Can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll come. Come on, but we gotta go check. But we have to. Did you pass out? She's passed out. What's wrong? She's not waking up.
Okay. One moment. I'm getting help started that way.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and how old is she?
She's 20.
20, you said?
Yes, 20 here to watch
Okay.
them.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, I need someone to stop passing the phone around because I've talked to 4 different people.
Okay, sorry, they just gave me the phone.
Is she breathing?
Hello?
Is she breathing?
No.
Okay.
Bethany, Dylan, I need you to keep talking to them, okay? I can't talk to them, I need you to talk to them.
Okay. Hello.
Okay. I've already sent the ambulance and law enforcement. Stay on the line. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
Say that again. There's a police here right now.
Okay. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
We don't have one. I think yes. Do you have a defibrillator? Yes, we have one.
Are you talking to the officer?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to let you go since he's there with you and can help you.
Okay, thank you.
And before we get into the red flags of the 911 call, I want to make sure that everyone understands for purposes of this show, we are not questioning if this call was the only 911 call or if the police were already at the King Road residence at the time this call was made. We are solely just listening to the red flags within Dylan Mortensen and the others that were on the call in this specific time frame.
So, first reactions, Kristen, what do you think in listening to that 911 call?
I'll tell you, the first thing I picked up was just what you picked up in the Ellen case. It was, well, I guess everyone's first thing was, why the hell is this being called in hours and hours and hours after? But we'll skip that. There's many shows on that. When Dylan says, can I just tell you what happened around 4 a.m.? When the dispatcher is asking her very specific questions, and Dylan says, again, trying to change directions in the call or trying to just divulge information because she wants it on the call or she thinks that the 911 dispatcher should have it, it is very odd to me. But when she says, can I just tell you what happened around 4 a.m.? That was the first red flag.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that, there's obviously a huge gap of time. This call is occurring at 11:55 a.m. on November 13th of 2022. And, when you're talking about 4 a.m., that's about 8 hours prior seeing this man. The first thing that shook me was initially reporting that there was some intoxication the night before and she's, quote, not waking up. And immediately turning to, by the way, there's something else that happened. That would not at all be relevant to this if you truly still thought at that moment, at least in my opinion, that would not be the first thing you would do, would be to fill in all these other facts, because reportedly she's saying intoxication, passed out.
Rank 2.
No mention of red stuff, no mention of the other 3 individuals that are nowhere to be found, no mention of anything, but crucial to know, not how her body looks, not how many times she's attempted to get her to wake up, just, by the way, there's this thing that happened at 4 a.m.
This is one of the biggest things that made me start questioning a lot in this case.
Yeah,
That
no
one
doubt.
tiny little sentence.
No doubt. And then what I want to ask you about is from the vantage point of a 911 operator. I struggle with this because on the one hand, presumably you have an in-progress emergency. That's the job of the 911 operator, right? Is to get the address, get someone going for emergency services, make sure that you're keeping that person calm while the services are on their way, and instructing someone to go through any, life-saving techniques while help is on the way. So I know that's the purpose. But man, oh man, do I want to tell that 911 operator to say, tell me more about this 4 a.m. Tell me what
Yeah,
happened. And I get it.
I agree. I thought she actually handled it well, and I think that is her job, and I think they're probably trained extensively to focus on the exact issue that's being reported. Dylan saying, my friend who was Anna, is on laying down on the ground. She's appears not to be responsive, right? There's no evidence that we tried to wake her up or that we even see any of the red stuff surrounding her, which is like red flag 2,510. But the 911 was trying to keep her on track. Hey, we have someone who might have drank too much. And Dylan is not saying that she's not alive. She's just saying, my friend won't get up. She drank a lot, and I think she's laying down on the floor in her room.
And certainly the 911 operator could not have possibly guessed that this
What
really
actually
was
happened.
no longer an active emergency, and it was instead a horrific crime scene.
Yeah, no, I agree. And trust me, I wish that 911 operator, and I think she did her job, and I think she probably got a ton of flack from whatever side somebody is on this case. I think that's kind of I'm sure that she couldn't have done that perfectly no matter, to make everyone happy. I think she was trying to keep Dylan calm. I think the phone was actually passed to not just one other person, but a second person. Then we can hear Hunter in the background. I have to go there, Sam, because we did it in the other case. But hey, by the way, are there any weapons? Just that knife I grabbed in the kitchen to protect myself because I didn't know if anyone was here. But by the way, that was here already. Like I put
Yeah,
it there.
it just the way, and there can be a million reasons why people present nervous, scared, shocked, all those things. And so I understand that those are all possibilities and we're not specifically pointing the finger at anyone, but the 911 call is just bizarre. And then again, even though I think the 911 operator, I agree with you, was trying to stay focused, trying to stay on topic, trying to keep one person on the phone. I kind of wanted that phone to keep getting passed around. I'm like, I want to know what's the story. What
No,
what is
I agree with
everyone
you.
saying? And then what also struck me, I wanted to ask you about is how about the part where again we're asking about checking on the person that the call is about. And it sounded to me that like I think the specific phrasing was, but we have to check. I think Dylan was talking to someone or whomever was on the phone said, but we have to go check. That struck me. Why wouldn't you want to go try to help revive someone if you thought they were still with us?
Great. Especially if you hadn't seen, any of the red stuff. I think Hunter allegedly, depending on, all the facts, he was the one that is coming out saying, "Hey, I've seen it. I was just trying to protect the other people from seeing what I saw." But I still think you could have said, "We need someone to come now." No, there is no need for a defibrillator. I, I thought that was very, very eerie. I thought that why nobody was talking about red stuff when this was supposedly one of the biggest crime scenes that the city had ever faced. And we have a 5-minute call and nobody is talking about that. It's very hard to get past. I'm not gonna lie. It's very, very hard to get past.
Yeah, and we don't know what happened, but I do know that that's weird. What I also think is weird is that you're calling 911 and you're not at all figuring out that there's 3 other individuals. What did you
One
think
of
of that?
one of the friends that, Dylan had, she called over and the friends came over and then Hunter was the boyfriend of Dylan's friend. They were neighbors. And at some point, they're saying our house. Wait, not our house. I don't live here. There was a lot of confusion. It's 3 people now talking instead of Bethany and Dylan who actually were in the house. But then Bethany's like, "Hey, I didn't know anything." So she's probably sitting there. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm on the side that you can actually hear what sounds like law enforcement's walkie-talkie going off right before Dylan's when the dispatcher is saying, "Hey, I've called emergency vehicles, they should be there," before she says, "Yes, they're here," it's like you can hear what sounds to be like a law enforcement's radio going off in the background, which would have to be very close to Dylan, which could infer that the police were already there. I know that there's speculations out there that this was not the initial call, that there were calls before, or even if there wasn't a call, law enforcement had already been to the scene. We're just really addressing the red flags with the call itself.
And the reason that I think those continue to be red flags is candidly because of the long delay before this call. So we have a timeline that we cannot totally fill in. So I think the possibilities are endless with who was there, what people knew, were stories lined up? Is it more, are the people reporting hiding something, or is there a different potential? I don't know, but again, I just keep going back to how small the house was, the square footage of the house. It just seems beyond reason that you could find Xana, but not also Ethan.
I
I mean,
agree.
maybe I'll
And two
give you,
other people that no one's even mentioning at all, you know?
but I could give you that because they're in a completely different room. I still don't think it makes sense. I don't think it's totally rational, but I mean, do you know, Kristen, how far apart Xana and Ethan were? Like how close they were?
It's like a hallway.
Right.
So that from Dylan's room, it's like a hallway, right? It's not very long. And people don't realize how small the house is. You hear 6 rooms and it sounds a lot bigger. I don't know the exact square footage, but it is not a big house. I think my house is like twice the size of it. And I can tell you, I can hear my kids screaming pretty much from any room. But I agree. I thought that was another thing with the 911 call is why are we not talking? Hey, I have one roommate that might have drank too much and is non-responsive. So wouldn't the normal person go look for the other 3 roommates or the other 2 or 3? I know Ethan wasn't a roommate, but he was living there basically. Wouldn't we go look for the other 3 that would be my first
Just
thing
to
is
tell
like,
them what's going on, to ask for help. Anything.
yeah, I'm calling so and so. They're not answering. I'm texting. No one's responding to me. I have one roommate. I sure as heck probably would have gone to see if they were still breathing. That probably would have been the first thing I would do. And if they weren't, holy cow, would that have been a different 911 call? But I think the fact that she doesn't talk about the red stuff, she almost immediately within the first minute of the call is trying to completely redirect how the call is going by saying, "Can I just tell you what happened last night?" She's already moving completely off Xana being unresponsive and drinking too much and already trying to filter out a new narrative. Sam, what's your other big one?
Well, just kind of in comparing, and I agree with you.
Oh, and the delay of how long the call took.
Going from she's non-responsive to here's another reason doesn't track to me. But something that I was thinking about that really occurs in both of these cases, both the 603 case and the Idaho 4 case, as it relates to the 911 calls, is that no one is really truly giving an accurate description of the injuries or what they're seeing, at least immediately, and definitely not in total, right? So like in the 603, you do eventually hear that he says that there's a knife, that he, by the way, knows the length of the knife, even though it's lodged in her. He knows which knife it was, which that was weird too.
Especially when there was more than one knife out. Because she was slicing, and it looks like she was slicing and cooking food. That was not the only knife that was in the kitchen that had been out.
Right. But you're
Why
still
would you know
not
the
getting a
length of
full
a knife
scope of
anyway?
the injuries. He's
Yeah.
not saying this is a red bath and there's multiple wounds. And
Which some stab wounds would give you that vision, right?
right. And then, and same thing with the Idaho 4. You're not saying she's on the floor, she's face up, she looks blue, she looks this, she looks whatever. And the reason that's so important to me is because presumably you're calling 911 to help keep this person alive. Presumably you can also call 911 because something happened. Of course, it's emergency services and you could, but then the scope of your call would be different. I need someone here. I need the cops. I need, something terrible has happened.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then they'd probably tell you to leave the residence because you wouldn't know whether or not it was still an active scene.
Yeah.
But it really strikes me that in neither case they're describing the injuries. And these are people who are acting like, at least initially acting like, there's a way to save them.
Mm-hmm. No, I 100% agree. The fact that neither of them are describing or illustrating what the scene looks like. And they are both simultaneously also trying to force feed an alternative without describing the crime scene.
That's
So
such a good point.
those for me are so, so very hard and just to get
So
over.
it seems like both of them start off from this premise of help us save this person, and then it's quickly turns into a defined narrative of this was a suicide or her, not me. And okay, there was someone else there. And also she's intoxicated. All things point away from the person calling. Here, have everything that doesn't connect us to this.
Yeah, because Dylan's calling saying she's intoxicated. But by the way, here's a completely different alternative, which is completely not aligned with what I just called about and said on the call. But here's an alternate theory, which is complete opposite, right? And by the way, I don't even know if she's alive or unalive because it's not even sounding like she went and looked, right? This is coming from, I'm assuming, Hunter telling her to go call the police, or at least that's what we've been told. And then the other one, I'm in our apartment and my fiance, there was no like anything happened. It was, oh my God, she stabbed herself. She fell on the knife. That was instantly recreated from second one, trying to depict an alternative that they were both a third party.
No doubt.
Not even, and they were both just an alternate, a possibility, I guess.
And I think that both of these tapes now, obviously, in both instances, these tapes have become topics of high controversy because of the oddities, the lack of time, just the strange behavior on a 911 tape. Again, we know, no one's going to have totally normal behavior when they're going through potentially shock. So, of course, there's other potentials for that. But I think what makes these so important is to some extent the Idaho 4 case, but definitely the 603 case, they're happening apparently right away or within a short period of time. And so even though we have that 8-hour period from 4 a.m. to 11:55 when the call is made in the Idaho 4 case, you still have like this sense of panic. You don't have sorry, even 8 hours is not enough time to figure out what you're going to say and how you're going to manage this terrible scene. If you are calculating it, and I'm just saying, assuming a person is, it's still not enough time. It's still close enough. And the closer you have that evidence, I feel like the more important it is and the more we should be hanging on the little potential clues because you haven't had that much time to theoretically figure it out. They're like contemporaneous statements.
Yeah, and when the dispatcher is asking Dylan, when she's trying to talk about, like, can I tell you what happened last night, where she saw the person wearing all black and she saw someone in a mask, the dispatcher is saying, tell me exactly what's going on. And she is trying to get what's going on in that moment. I think she's trying to determine whether or not there is someone that can be saved in that moment. But it kind of, when you hear her say, do you have a defibrillator? I'm sitting there like, if we know what's going on, why are we asking for a defibrillator? But we can't finish the call in the Idaho case, Sam, without me saying, now there's a male voice that cuts in and that we can hear on the phone call. And the dispatcher says, stop. It's right when she says, stop passing the phone around, because it had gone from, it was Dylan and I think it was Emily. And then I can't remember the other, there was another third goal where they were passing it around. And shortly after, you can hear someone in the back that says, I think we have a homicide.
See, I don't hear that.
So, I mean, I've listened to this call, I don't know, at least, at no joke, at least 30 times.
Now, is this potentially someone that could be, for example, law enforcement that you're hearing in the background?
I think, yeah. I mean, it sounds to me if you go back and listen again, it does sound to me like you can hear someone like a law enforcement's radio. It does sound, and how quickly they got to this house. I mean, it was from the time the call was made to the end of the call that law enforcement was already there. Moscow PD was already there. And it might be that they're only 2 minutes away, right?
Right.
It might be that they're that close.
And I think the 911 was about a 4-minute call. So it started at 11:55 and it ended at 11:59 a.m. on
Yeah, so
November 13th.
you'd be looking at like a 3.5-minute window from the time the call is made. I believe that it can be heard, and I do think many people have heard the radio go off. It's very faint in the background, but it's enough there. It truly sounds like a walkie-talkie, like somebody is saying, and the officer maybe didn't turn his radio off. I'm not even getting at what that even infers or means. It just sounded to me like there was somebody already on the scene by the time that that call ended. That's what it appears to me. And I do believe that that might have been the situation where someone's like, we have a hostage.
Yeah. And again, Kristen and I aren't
There
pointing
were
the
a bunch of
finger
people
at
standing
anyone.
outside the house that we see on the body cams. It grew very, very quickly with the amount of people that were outside of the King Road by the time that the caution tape was put up around the King residence.
Right. And we're not pointing the finger at anyone. We're just saying this 911 call is odd. It is very odd. And we don't love the gap in time. And these are interesting, kind of going through these. Sometimes Kristen and I, we have to deal with these in our family law cases. Sometimes
911 calls say a lot. They tell a lot. They paint a story or they don't paint a story. They paint a story or they paint red flags.
yeah, no doubt. And sometimes we have to deal with them in restraining order cases and things like that. So it's one of the most crucial pieces of evidence, I think, to look at to start with in these cases.
Yeah. And if you really want to know more, go listen. I mean, on YouTube, you could literally just put 911 calls in to the search bar, but go listen to like 20. And the more you listen to, the more you can start saying, okay, so like this is normal. This is within reason. This is, wow, this is out there. But you will start picking up how statements are not aligned with the purpose of the call, the immediacy of the call, or really at depicting any accuracy of the situation. Is it totally trying to distract from what actually happened?
Right. And so then the question is the 911 call a plea for help? Or is it the first draft of a narrative?
I think oftentimes it is the first step in creating an alibi.
So make sure you stay tuned and continue to watch Kristen and I as we dive into all things crime. And I'm sure we'll do some more of these shows just going through the 911 tapes because they are interesting and I think they tell a lot of a story, even if we can't totally grasp what's happened. Thank you so much for listening to us, liking us, subscribing to us, and leaving comments for us. We are so happy to be here and we cannot wait to see you next week.
And remember, this is all for educational and entertainment purposes. And I realize, and Sam realizes, and everyone else on YouTube should realize that people hear things differently when they are listening to audio. I've watched many, many, many and listened to many, many, many episodes on different audio recordings. Sometimes I 100% hear what other people, and sometimes like, man, I can't hear anything. Or sometimes I can hear a little bit of that. So when we talk about these issues, we're talking about what's out there. But look, Sam and I don't always hear the same thing. And I hear completely different things when I put headphones on. So take it for what it's worth. I just wanted to throw that out there. We are not saying that anything is fact or exactly how it happened. We are just saying that it raised some eyebrows.
Until next time.